What is it that makes a sport a sport? Most of us probably agree that basketball, for example, is a sport. But what about cheerleading? I mean, you're still getting up and moving. How about chess, where someone doesn't even have to get out of their chair to play? One of my favorites, professional eating. Doesn't really seem like these guys should be considered athletes, does it? So, how do we judge these so-called border sports? Well, the dictionary definition for a sport reads as an activity involving physical exertion and skill in which an individual or team competes against another or others for entertainment. It took me a long time to memorize that. So going off that definition, and with a little personal bias included, I'm going to be judging whether or not the sports we look over today are really sports. But today, we're not looking at your everyday chess or cheerleading. In this video, we're taking a giant leap into the unknown and experimenting with the craziest sports that actually exist. I hope you enjoy. For our first entry, and I promise I'm not joking, we're going to explore the wonderful sport of camel jumping. Now this one isn't too popular, but if you find just the right people, you can experience a sport that is definitely not PETA approved. We have to travel to Yemen, not the Black Ops 2 map, but the country for this one. A desert tribe in Yemen, known as the Zaradiq tribesmen, invented the game, and they're the only ones known to play it professionally. And though it does endanger the camels, it's also, well, it's awesome. I mean, these guys look like Olympic long jumpers in the air. But what really makes camel jumping awesome is its origin story. Legend says that two Zaradiq tribesmen invented the game. Apparently they were arguing over a camel, and it amounted to a dare of whether or not one could jump over the animal. Now, in horse jumping, you use the horse to jump over obstacles. But in camel jumping, to be clear, the camel is the obstacle. Camel jumping is an awesome activity, and it's more than deserving of a spot on this list. And in my opinion, it is indeed a sport. I mean, it's basically just a long jump with a big hurdle, right? But hey, don't think I wasn't gonna let you in on the camel jump world records. Unlike the small decimals and long numbers used in the long or high jump, the camel jump record is pretty cut and dry. On one hot day in the Yemen desert, Zayed Omer would clear 6 camels, a beautiful score for the record books. And that, folks, is the record. So, if you want a world record to try, and you have 6 camels at your disposal, get at it and let me know how it goes. Wait, don't do that, don't do that. Our next sport is a combination of brains and brawn to create a beautiful display of masculinity. Now, I brought up chess in the intro, but did you really think I was that boring? You may be thinking that chess could never be made fun, and to that, I show you chess boxing. Yup, a combination of chess and boxing, bouncing back and forth from the smartest of sports to the most physical. Now, chess boxing takes place in a boxing ring, with the opponents switching off between a quaint little chess setup and an all-out man-to-man brawl. But the best way for you to really understand chess boxing is to literally see it. And luckily for you guys, we have a highly anticipated matchup about to go down in the studio upstairs. So with that, I'm going to toss you over to the guys in the ring. Here's Joe.
Thanks, Aiden. And we're already underway here in an intense chess boxing matchup. Now here, our opponents are going to take 3 moves each in chess before transitioning to boxing. And there's that bell now. They're going to leave their minds at the table and fight. We got some good blows coming in. Both fighters look wildly inexperienced, though. And it looks pretty even as of now. Oh my goodness! Down goes Baber. Look at that knockout. That one sends him to the canvas. And Noor will win the matchup as he gloriously celebrates. Wait, Simon is still there. And he checkmates Noor. It's game over. Simon wins. The crowd goes wild for Simon. Thank you for watching, folks. This has been Joe with the World Chess Boxing Championships. Back to you, Hayden.
So obviously, chess boxing is a highly competitive and entertaining hobby, and I don't know how I can go against that. It's a sport. Our next sport is one that made me cringe every single time I researched it. Shin kicking is a British martial art in which opponents wrestle each other trying to score devastating blows to the shin. But what makes shin kicking very special to me is the attire these guys wear in their games. I mean, they pull up looking like scientists in lab coats. For what reason? Now, the goal of shin kicking is to throw your opponent to the ground after locking arms. The whole shin kicking part is just a strategy to weaken their defense. But unfortunately, I can't consider shin kicking a sport just because of the horrors it gives me to think about it. But since I'm a nice guy, I decided to put something together for the sport anyways. Here, I built the ultimate shin kicking player. A retired war veteran who lost a leg and had it replaced with a literal razor scooter. Next, we look at a competition not between humans, but of human versus animals. The Man vs. Horse Marathon is an annual race that pits brave runners against literal horses, taking place every June in a small Welsh town. Now, as you can imagine, the horse dominates the race. Out of 41 races to ever occur, the horse has won 38 of them. But that does mean that 3 impressive men were able to squeak out wins against the beast. Up until 2003, no man had ever defeated the horse, but 2 men managed to pull the feat off in just a few years. After this, the horse went back on another long streak, not losing all the way until COVID-19 forced the race to cancel. But this year, and the first time back at the Man vs. Horse Marathon, Ricky Lightfoot, a 37-year-old firefighter, triumphed in the race. Lightfoot is a British distance world champion runner who completed in all sorts of major running challenges. And today, in this video, we have the pleasure of interviewing the man who beat a horse in a marathon. I reached out to Ricky through Instagram, and I was excited when he quickly responded saying that he was up for my idea. So, instead of listening to me, why don't we hear about the Man vs. Horse Marathon from the guy who actually won it? Ricky Lightfoot's Man vs. Horse Marathon win, and his love for running itself, all traces back to one day. On a rainy, groggy 1999 day, Ricky was just 14 years old. And this was not the champion, world-renowned runner Ricky that we know today. This was a scrawny British boy, not yet introduced to the sport of running. And his first experience was a group run, where he took off in bad weather with some buddies. As the run progressed, the boys completely lost their senses and had no idea where they were. Trying to maneuver, young Ricky found himself covered in mud and animal feces. But still, even after getting lost, dirty, and belittled, Ricky felt something that day. From that day on, Ricky Lightfoot knew one thing. He was a runner. Fast forward a couple of years to a 19-year-old Ricky. An amateur runner, he hears about someone who won 25,000 euros for winning a small marathon in Wales. The man had become the first to ever defeat a horse in the Man vs. Horse Marathon. But this never amounted to much for Ricky, and he went on with his life. In the coming years and decades, Ricky Lightfoot would grow up and represent his country all over the world. He would earn world champion honors in trail running and established himself as a known distance runner. But in 2022, an adult 37-year-old Ricky would revisit his past. For the first time in his career, Ricky enrolled himself in the Man vs. Horse Marathon, determined to win it. And as we know, he would do just that, winning the race and becoming somewhat of a poster boy for this epic sport. I want to thank Ricky for taking the opportunity to interview with me. I hope that we get to interview a lot more sports celebrities and personalities in the future. And that was a perfect way to learn what the Man vs. Horse Marathon's about. And I gotta say, if that isn't a sport, nothing is. Now our final sport we're looking at is ironing. That's right, ironing. You may think ironing is lame, but this, my friend, is not just ironing. This is extreme ironing. Yup, You get to do your mom's Sunday chore while skydiving, scubaing, cave jumping, and more. And people have gone pretty far and away with this sport. Now, in 2002, this sport had its undisputed peak. Somehow, people managed to throw together the first and only Extreme Ironing World Championships. This event looks on video honestly like a very boring time, and I can see why there was never another competition. However, the pro ironing scene being down has not stopped some people from still ironing clothing while in the most odd ways you can imagine. I honestly just want to sit down and have a conversation with one of them. Like, what makes you have this skill and choose to iron clothes while doing it? But yeah, that is extreme ironing, and in my opinion, I honestly think it's not a sport. It feels like more of a glorified way to do your chores, if anything else. And that, my friends, is all the wild sports I have for you today. I gotta give a big special thank you to everybody you saw in this video that's not me, Ricky Lightfoot, and my roommates as well. I'll see you guys next time.